Well, thanks for watching this video with us. My name is Andrew Yekel, and I'm the associate pastor here at Fifi Baptist Church. And we've started a new church-wide emphasis called Grounded, where we're going to be reading through the New Testament together for the next few months. And you can find that reading plan on the download section of our website or on our app. But part of that initiative is that we want to encourage you to be a part of a transformation group that will read through this together and talk about it, to dive into God's word deeper together. But to do this in a socially distanced way, we're going to be using an app called Marco Polo, where we'll use short videos to talk through what we experienced as we read God's word together. We did some test groups of this in the fall, and so I wanted you to get to hear from one of our members about how they experienced it, about what they went through, what they thought about it. And so my guest for this interview is Bob Foster. Welcome, Bob.
Well, thank you, Andrew.
We are glad that you are joining us. I was in a group with you back a couple months ago, and we spent 3 weeks together using this app. And I was so blessed by, one, the experience in general, but having you in the group. So I thank you for letting me join your group.
Well, thank you for inviting me to come into the group. It was a real privilege, as it turned out.
So I just wanted to hear, we won't be very long, but I just want to hear some of your thoughts about it. Did you have any reservations or hesitations about joining one of these groups?
As one of the older people around, I always have reservations about using a new app, Marco Polo, and I wasn't sure that I would be able to navigate it. And so that was the main reservation that I had, Andrew. It turned out that that was a needless reservation because it worked okay.
Yeah. How did you, was it frustrating at first, or how did you learn the system?
Well, you gave us the link, and I have a daughter and a son living nearby who are much more technical savvy than I am. And they looked over my shoulder while I was getting linked up. And then once it started, it worked like clockwork.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I know that was, even for me, I had never used the app before. And at first it is a little intimidating almost. But once you play around with it and see, it's actually pretty simple.
Marco Polo was perfect for the kind of study we were doing, though. We're using Zoom right at the moment, and I've used Roku for listening to the sermon on Sunday. And those are very good for those purposes, but Marco Polo has a special place for something such as this Bible study.
Yeah, absolutely. I had never heard of it until Zach brought it up just kind of a few weeks before we really started our group. And I was very impressed with, exactly that, just how perfect it is for this sort of transformation group. So let me ask you about did you know all the guys in our group well before being a part of the Marco Polo group?
I knew all of them, but I didn't know all of them well. Of course, I knew you. I knew Bob really well. And the others I came to know as we were doing our Bible study. And that was such a great thing in itself.
Yeah, it was definitely enjoyable to get to hear, like you said, I knew you pretty well and knew some of the other guys, off and on, but it was nice to get to see those interactions, those connections being made as we went through the group together.
Did you notice how we tended to really come together toward the end?
Yeah, it definitely, we purposely only did it for 3 weeks as a trial, but it felt like right at the end, that third week is really when we were kind of getting into our rhythm. And so that's why I'm really glad that in the spring, right now we're going to be doing it for a longer period of time.
Yes, I think that's really true.
Yeah, I think that'll lead to some really depth in relationship and depth in the comfortableness that we have with each other. What were some of the highlights for you of being a part of this group?
Well, Andrew, I think you know that I grew up as a member of churches, not this particular church, and been in Sunday school all of my life. I've taught my Sunday school, and all of those things were great. And I feel like I have a fairly comprehensive knowledge of the Bible. But when you're studying a book, as we did for this period of time, we dug in ways I'd never dug in before. And I had new insights. I got excited about things, and as I think the other members of the group did too.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I was always amazed that as I would read, we read through the book of Mark together, and that's a book that I think everyone in our group had read multiple times before. We knew these stories. And so there would be times where I'd read it and I'd think, oh yeah, I've heard this before. I know the point. I know what I'm supposed to get out of this. And then hearing your all's insight into it was mind blowing, that things I'd never thought of. And it was so eye opening for me. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight. I would agree. So let me just ask about some of the practicalities of it. How much time did it take you? Every week we would have a different member kind of lead each day. And so when it was your day to lead the Marco Polo group, how much time did it take you to prepare?
Well, it took me more time than I really needed to, I suppose, because I would get into it and I'd think I know all of this. And then as I'd get into it, I'd get excited about something and I'd dig into my reference books, and I would have much more I wanted to say than my time would permit, as a matter of fact.
Right. Yeah. I kind of found the same thing, that as I got into it, I was more and more excited, and would take more of that prep work. But for anybody wondering, the actual time of leading that first lesson, of when it's your day to lead, should only be 5 or 10 minutes. So it's not, we purposely wanted it to not be a big time drain on people, so that hopefully the total of the day is only 20 to 30 minutes of hearing or of being a part of the group. So let me just ask this. To anyone that is thinking of being a part of this group, what would you say to them? What would you encourage them with? What would you say to people interested?
I would say for them, go for it, even if you have reservations. For one thing, if I didn't want to tune in, wouldn't have to. And so you're not losing anything by joining a group. And I think that once you're in, you will not opt out, because you're going to find that you're going to get excited about the books you're studying, and you're also going to have a new appreciation for the members of your team.
I would agree. Well, I appreciate you being with us today, Bob, for our interview, and look forward to hearing more stories of how you're blessed this next time with our Marco Polo group.
Okay, Andrew. And I even had deeper appreciation for you, because, you were pretty low on my totem pole until I got to know you this way, okay?
Yeah. We're going to cut that part right out.
All right.
Well, thank you for joining us, Bob.
You bet.